So today we are seeing this game between Alexander Alekhine versus Geza Maroczy, and it was played in 1931 in a tournament called Bled International. So let's start. White plays D4. So Alekhine, Alexander Alekhine was world champion. He played D4 and then black played D5. Now knight F3, knight F6, C4, E6, and then bishop G5, knight B D7. So Alekhine developed the bishop, pinning the knight, knight B D7, giving support, and maybe preparing for the C5, giving support to this. Yeah, you already have some supports, but yes, more supports, and then maybe the queen will go on the other side. That time you need to have a support with the piece, because otherwise you have to capture. If you capture with the bishop, you have to capture with this pawn, and that's why sometimes they develop the knight here on d7 and instead of c6. One more problem moving the knight here is, then if you move here, you cannot move this pawn ahead, and you want to challenge the pawn in the center. For that, you have to have the knight over here and not over here. Okay, so these are the reasons. Otherwise, you will say, why is black moving the knight over here when the natural square is still there, okay, available for that knight? Anyway, let's see ahead. E3, Alekhine has moved the bishop out first and then got the pawn here. See, if you move the pawn first, then the bishop can be trapped inside or it cannot go outside easily. But sometimes they do that. They play e3 before moving the bishop out. Anyway, after e3, h6, giving attack to this, okay, because it's not a good idea to have the pin for a long time. Don't allow the opponent to keep this pin for a long time, and that's why either you play h6 or you can play bishop e7 to get rid of that pin. So bishop h4, okay, white said, I would like to have that pin for a longer time. Plus, if you play g5, that would be fine with me, because then you are making some weaknesses. See, these will be the weakness once you play this g5 move. Okay, so here he has first played bishop e7, he has not played g5. Then this side pawn structure will be very bad. We have to be careful while playing g5. He can just simply go bishop g3 and he has no problem after that. So bishop e7, then knight c3, and then castle. Okay, so black did castle. White developed the rook. White wants to control this file after capturing or after exchanging this pawn. What will happen? He will get very good open file and he wants to control it with the rook. That's why he played rook c1. Now c6, giving support to this. So he would like to capture with this pawn, because what happens if you capture with this pawn, the problem is you are losing your center pawn for the opponent's side pawn. Okay, normally what do we say? These files, these are the center files and these are the pawns which are in the center. So you don't want to lose your side, your center pawn for the opponent's side pawn. And that's why he has played c6. So in case if the opponent captures with this, I'll capture with this, and then we both will lose the side pawn. I'm not going to lose my center pawn. So c6, bishop d3, and yes, after this, you have to play this move at some point of time, because you cannot wait for him to first capture and then capture directly from here and not from here, so that you will not lose your one move. So every single time you don't get that chance, and here he said, okay, enough, now I will develop my bishop, because if you don't do that, you cannot do castle early, and you have already developed most of the pieces. Yeah, still queen c2 was available, he could have played that, and that was okay, that was better maybe, but fine. Bishop d3 is also good. After bishop d3, now black played a6. So idea is, you first take it and then you can attack with this afterwards. or you can play this also sometimes before that. So castle after a6, white made castle. D cross c4. See, the opponent has waited for white. Once he played this, after that he captured. Now what happened? White has to move the same piece again. So he has to waste his one move. It's like, losing a tempo, losing one extra move. That's what they call it. Gaining a tempo and losing a tempo. So this is important. If you can do one of this, you see which is better for you, and then you do that. So after bishop cross c, here the best move you can say for black was b5, and afterwards you can play c5 and exchange it. But here he played first c5. Okay, and now this is not that good because you're not gaining that tempo, number one. Second, you are giving more option. If you don't give a threat, the opponent has more option. Whenever the opponent has more options, what happens? Opponent can play a better move. So don't give more options to the opponent. Here, white played a4. See, I told you opponent has more options. So what did he do? He played the best move. A4 is a very good move. What is the idea? Not allowing the opponent to play b5. Now you don't get this chance. So you had this chance before, but you missed it, and now you will not get it because now white has 1, 2, 3 attacks over there. So it's very difficult now. He has only one support if he wants to play b5. So a4, then queen a5, development of the queen. He is getting his pieces out. Queen e2. White also did the same thing. He has developed his queen out, made some space for the rook, okay, to come here maybe afterwards. C cross d4. This was a plan before. He had to capture at some point of time, so he captured now. And then you have a choice now to capture with the knight or to capture with the pawn. Now there are some advantages and disadvantages of capturing with this or with this. So let's see what did he do. If you would have captured with the knight, then this knight was coming here and it was a very good square for the knight, plus he was attacking here, and that's why black would have got equality here, okay, equal position. So in this position he has not captured with the knight. He said I will keep controlling this square with the knight, plus I'll capture with this, and these important squares I can control with my pawn. Okay, so this is one advantage he got. He is controlling some important squares in the center. But what is the disadvantage? The disadvantage is you don't have a pawn support to this pawn. So it is slightly weaker, you can say. Okay, that means it is called as an isolated pawn, alone. Okay, and alone pawn, isolated pawn is one of the weak pawn, okay, weakness for you. So you have to be careful while making this kind of isolated pawn, because in the long run, if the opponent exchange more and more pieces, then uh, that pawn can become like weaker. Like, yeah, if he has more pieces on the board, he can attack more. And because you don't have support with the pawns, the problem, you have to either keep giving support and make them passive, or you can even lose that pawn because of more attacks. You can't give so many support. So that's the reason. That's why you have to be careful while having this kind of isolated pawns. Okay, now knight b6. See, when the opponent has isolated pawn, what to do in that case? I will tell you. See, this is the pawn which is isolated. And then if you have that pawn, what to do? The best way is to move it ahead, exchange it with the opponent's pawn. Once that pawn is gone and once it's exchanged, you have less problems. Right? This is one of your problem now. So what to do? Right now it's a problem. What to do? You move it ahead and then you can exchange. Once this pawn is exchanged with this, then the opponent will lose his good pawn for your bad pawn, and then it will be a good exchange for you. So that's the idea. If you have an isolated pawn, what to do, you have understood now. You just try to move ahead. Of course, you have to see the total attack, total supports. You should not give it free. You have to first prepare for it and then you do that. So that's what now he's trying to do. He's thinking, how can I play this? Okay, he has now two supports. So he is thinking, but there are already 1, 2, and 3 attacks. And what is he doing? What is his opponent doing? He has played. He has played this knight here. Idea is to attack this good bishop. Okay, he can exchange it with this one. Second idea to move the knight here is to control this square. So now it's very difficult. And when the opponent has this kind of isolated pawn, what to do? You have to move your piece, one of the piece, especially a knight, and block that pawn. It's called as a blockader. That piece is working like a blockader, and you're stopping that pawn from coming ahead. And the knights are very good blockader, they say. So if you have a chance to get your knight in front of opponent's isolated pawn, you should do that. Okay. If there is a double pawn of the opponent, same thing you can do. You should try to attack more, try to get it free. And the best way to do that is to put your piece or something in front of it. Don't allow it to go ahead. So he cannot exchange that one of the pawn out of those two pawns. Anyway, after knight b6, what did he play? Let's see. You don't want to lose the bishop for a knight, especially in this kind of open game. How is it open game? How do you understand that this is open or close game? In the open game, there are less pawns in the center. Okay, they are not blocked to each other. In the close game, there are some pawns which are blocked to each other, and because of that, you cannot move your bishops freely from the those diagonals. So here you can clearly understand that this is an open game. This is an open game. So what to do in the open game? Keep your bishops on the board. Don't exchange for the knights. If the close game is there, then you should exchange your bishops for the opponent's knight, because then the knights are better in the close. So this is open. Don't give this bishop for the knight. What to do? Move it somewhere. So he moved here. Bishop d3. Okay. What is the idea? Moving the bishop somewhere where it can control more square. That is number one reason. And now the threat, maybe he can move the bishop to b1, get the queen somewhere on d3 or c2, and then maybe afterwards capture this one and then try to make checkmate or something like this on this h7 square. So that's the idea. Okay, long-term idea I told you, but this kind of plan you can make. So here bishop d7, black played after bishop d3, bishop d7, and then white did this. White would like to exchange the knight for this bishop, though it's not that good bishop right now because it's blocked by this, but it can become very good after. Once he comes here, no, he will control this very good, long diagonal. So after knight e5, what did he do? Black played rook f d8. He gave support. He said, okay, you want to do that? Fine, I will allow you. F4. Okay, he said, okay, I don't want to exchange right now. I'll wait for some time when you will do something, and when it's very important or very necessary, that time maybe I'll think of exchange, because I have choice. I don't have to do it right now. That bishop is not going anywhere. I have that bishop control. If it comes, it can only come over here. It cannot go somewhere where I cannot attack with this. So let's see. Okay, the bishop has attacked to this pawn as well. But the problem is, once you capture, he can attack and he can pin that. And afterward, there can be attack to that bishop and there can be problem. You have to be very careful while, capturing any of these kind of pawn. They called as, you can say, poison pawn. Okay, that means if you take that pawn free, you can have problems afterwards. Mostly the pawn on b2 or b7, these kind of pawns are poison pawns. So it's you have to be careful. Okay, after f4, why did he play f4? To give one more support. Second idea, to move ahead and exchange and then open the file for the rook and attack on this side. So that's a simple idea. After f4, bishop e8. So finally, see, he said, I got the rook here. Now I can move the bishop here. If you would have played before this, if you play this, the problem is then this rook would be very bad. Okay, so don't block your rooks, don't block your own pieces. And that's why, how did he play? First, he played the rook out. Once the rook is out, and now you have the choice, that time you move the bishop back, and he gave support to this as well. So in case if there is any problem afterwards, he has extra support to that pawn. Now white played knight g4. The idea is to attack this, okay, and he's giving pressure because see knight cannot capture this knight right now because then the bishop can capture this. Very good bishop you have to lose if you capture this. So whenever you get the chance to pin something, and if you have already pinned something, then you should think, okay, I have got the pin now. I have pinned something of the opponent, but now how can I take advantage of that pin? So mostly, if you want to take the advantage, what you have to do? You have to attack more on that pin thing. Like right now, the knight is pinned, so attack more on that to get it free. Okay. Why do you have to make more attack? So that you can get it free. Don't exchange. Okay. Some of the beginners they do this mistake. They just exchange that pin piece. So then, what is the use? No, no use. If something is pinned, that means it's a weakness, and if something is a weakness, then what to do? You have to increase the pressure on that. You have to make more attack on that weakness and try to get it free. Then it's okay. Otherwise, what is the use of that? Okay. Now here, after knight g4, black captured this pawn. So rook cross d4. That pawn was free there for taking, and he took that. Okay. Now was that a mistake? It's okay. Okay, like you can take it, but now the problem is white can attack very nicely, and if you know how to defend the position well, it's okay. Otherwise, it's difficult. Normally, the machine, the computer knows how to defend well. For the human, it's not so easy, and this game was played in 1930, so that time it was not that well developed this defense skill. The defense was lacking. Attacking skill was very good, but defense was little bit weaker. So yeah, it's difficult now for black if white makes very good attack. So let's see, bishop cross f6. Okay, he captured the important piece. Now see this. I told you not to exchange the pin thing. Then why did he do that? Because he is now going to make some weaknesses. He's going to create some weakness in the opponent's camp. So how to do that? Let's see. First, he captured the bishop cross f6. Now either you capture with the bishop or with the pawn. If you capture with the pawn, it's very bad because he can just get this pawn free, and it's a check. Plus the queen is coming out on this side, so he cannot do that. So he captured with this bishop cross f6. Now what to do? Again, here you capture. So knight cross f6 check. Now g cross f6. Here you have to capture that. Okay, you cannot say no, I will have double pawn, my king will be open. No, the points are more important. So you have to take that. So g cross f6 and then knight e4. So Alekhine has found some weaknesses here. Which are the weaknesses you can see? And then he thought, okay, how can I make attack, more attack on that? And he got some pieces now. The knight is the best one, attacking to this f6. Now, here you have to defend well, otherwise you can be in trouble. I already said. Okay, so the best move here to defend this was either you have to play knight d5 or even f5 was okay, but knight d5 was better. But he has made the mistake. Okay, the opponent didn't do that defense well. What did he do? He played a rook d8. So he allowed Alekhine to capture it free. Okay, plus gave this check. Okay, so it's very difficult after that. Let's see what happens. So Alekhine said, very good, let me take it first. So knight cross f6 check, and the king has to move, king f8. And then Alekhine gave one more check, knight h7. This is another good move. Why is it good? Let's see. So king is running away to the other side. Okay, so it's looking like, yeah, he's going somewhere where he will have some pawns to save him. But where is he coming? Already Alekhine has some pieces ready on that side. He cannot run so much. He cannot go on this side because the rook is already controlling this file. So he can't do that. It's coming in front of this queen. So another problem. Okay. And this pawn can attack and exchange, and then the king will be wide open after that. So it's not easy for black for sure. So let's see after this king e7 what happens. And yes, as I said, if something is pin, okay, it's a weakness. This is pin now. What to do in that case? You have to increase the pressure. You have to attack that. And when the opponent's king is there on that file, what to do? You have to open that file. Try to open the file so that you can attack very well, especially with the queen and rooks. And that's why the move is this f5. Simple. Once you exchange it, what will happen? This file will be open, and then this pawn will not have a support of the pawn, so it's weaker than before. So f5 is a very good move, and now he played a rook 8 d6 to give another support, and now he's thinking I'll move the king on this side maybe, so it will be safer and I'll give support with this. But now guess what? Alekhine has very good move. There was one more reason actually to play f5. What was it? You will understand just after seeing this. So Alekhine now played b4. What a move. See, it's a double exclamation mark move. Now, wow, what is so great about this? Let's see. Because now what is happening? He has to capture this, okay? He has to either capture with this or with this. If you capture with anything, there are problems, okay? How? Let's see. In the game, he has played queen cross b4. But first, let's see what if he captures with the rook. Then what can happen? So here, then Alekhine can either play this queen h5. See, he could attack on this side, okay? And now there is a threat also. f6 is a threat. f6 check, and then queen can capture this. It's a very dangerous threat. What do you have to do? You have to block that. Then only it is okay. But if you don't block, you are in trouble. But still, he will play this f6. And then the king has to move. You cannot take it as there are enough support. You will lose extra points. So king d8 maybe. And then queen cross h6. And then maybe he will capture this rook cross d3. Is looking like good for him. But then queen f8. And now there is a threat. Queen e7 is a checkmate threat. So what to do? He has to save it. Maybe rook d7. Then what to do? Then you play this, and now this queen is attacked. So the only move you can say he has to capture, because you can't block it. No, he will get this. So queen cross a4, and then this one. Look at this, rook cross e5. And now it's a very difficult situation. King can go here. He can give away that. But if you can see now, the points are almost equal, and the king's position is very bad. Okay, white is attacking. So this is slightly better. But still, this would be okay. He could play. But let's see what happened in the game. Okay, he captured with the queen. And now what to do? So Alekhine played another good move here. The best move here is queen e5. So you have to just go closer to the opponent's king to make more attack. That's what opponent did. And then his opponent played knight d7. Now, what was the threat here, by the way? The threat, okay, what was the threat? Suppose if we play something, anything like this, suppose we play this. The threat was this, queen f6 check, king has to go here, and then knight f8 is a checkmate. So you should understand what is a threat, okay? He can't play something without thinking about this threat. So how to stop it? For that, what did he do? After queen e5, he played knight d7 to stop this queen f6 check. So understand. And then Alekhine played another good move, that is queen h8. What is the idea? Queen f8 is coming. Okay. And then he has to move there, and then there can be more problems. Okay. Something like this. So let's see. We'll see what happens. After queen h8, now here, he should have played maybe rook c6 or something to stop this, rook's attack, so that he can run away afterwards on this side. But he has not done anything like that. Instead, he thought, I'm getting this. If I don't have anything else to do, at least I'll take it. He took that, and it's a big mistake. Okay, question mark move, bad move. What to do now? There is this is a puzzle now. White to play mate in 3 moves. Okay, you can just stop the video and you can think, how can I do checkmate? So I'll tell you now. f6. So the first move is f6. King has to move, or he has to capture. Okay. And here itself, okay, when Alekhine played this, the opponent resigned, because he understood now anything you do is going to be checkmate. So let's see, if he captures with the knight, then what happens? So then you can do this queen cross f6. The only move is this. And then again, this knight f8 is a checkmate. So this is how he can do. If he moves the king d8, then how to do? Now this is very interesting. Okay, this is called a deflection tactic over here. You can use. See, you want to do this check, but then the king is there. You want to capture this, but then king is there. But the problem here is, the king is doing both the jobs at the same time, which is not possible. So how to do it? It's overloaded piece. How to take advantage of it? You cannot play rook c8, then he will simply take it, and then queen cross this. He can move this king over here. So the first move is this queen cross e8, sacrifice, queen sacrifice, and then king has to take. He cannot say no to that. And then this is the move, rook c8, checkmate. And this is how white could won the game, and that's why black resigned before. Okay, after f6 at this position only, black understood that next 2-3 moves is going to be checkmate, and he resigned.